What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So I talked about that Clash Royale may be a little skewed, just a tiny little bit in last week's video, but I thought I would go ahead and just point out that it might be your fault, and it's probably your fault if you lose almost 90% of the time. The game isn't necessarily rigged against you, it's just when you're playing a lot and you're messing around with the way that the game is meant to be played, that basically they kind of push you off. But overall, you usually are playing with a completely typical player, and that typical player usually is pretty good. But here's some things that they might not know, but you might, and this will give you an advantage. And this might just be the thing between a win and a loss. Also, guys, don't forget to tell me what your top 5 favorite troops are in Clash Royale in the comment section below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start this video. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to be talking about some mistakes that people make in Clash Royale, and hopefully these will give you just a little bit of an edge when it comes to the game. So the number one on our list is running out of elixir. Now this happens pretty often because people like to, place down troops, and they think that it's okay, we're going to get a bunch of elixir in just a second, so you know what, it doesn't matter. Or the other person maybe doesn't have any troops, and that's your thought process. But usually, if you guys ask me, I think you should always have 3 elixir at all times down there regardless, unless you're putting down like, I don't know, a barbarian barrack or something along those lines. Always try to keep at least 3, and always have at least 1 troop that costs under 3. That way, in times of emergency, when a drag or giant or witcher or valkyrie or something along those lines is coming your way and about to attack your tower, you can lure that troop away towards the middle or somewhere anywhere basically with that archer and distract it just long enough for your elixir to actually fill up, and that way you can actually go ahead and destroy it. So a lot of times what happens is players simply just completely run out of elixir because they use it, and the other person thinks it's the perfect opportunity to completely spam you with troops, and that's how people end up losing towers. Like, I don't even know, it's got to be like 80% of the time that's how people lose towers. Number 2 on our list is doing your research. Clash Royale is interesting. It's really different from Clash of Clans. When it comes to Clash Royale, it has to do with numbers, and Clash of Clans has its numbers. It's complicated, we get it, but more or less that game is more fun to actually play, graphically intense and things along those lines. Clash Royale is more like mathematical kind of, because every single update, if you look at their update logs, it's like this increased by 10%, this increased by 5%, this decreased by 2%, this decreased by 1.1%. It doesn't even matter. The point is they're always tweaking the numbers. And if you just take a look at their update logs, they're not even doing like research into the cards themselves, or just take a look at the cards when you're actually playing, because you can actually see the statistics while you're actually playing. It might give you just a little bit of an edge to see how much one card is going to do against another troop, or how well your card is going to do overall when it comes to your deck, whether you're using up too much elixir. It's going to give you a lot of information. I know math kind of sucks and it's kind of boring, but at the same time, if you just, at least look at, oh, this thing got nerfed really badly, and oh, this thing is really awesome now when it comes to their updates, it should give you a pretty solid edge, and hopefully that will give you guys some wins as well. Number 3 on our list has to do with your eyes. You see, the thing they say when you drive a car for the first time is you have to turn your eyes into 1,000 eyes. You have to constantly be looking everywhere. Clash Royale isn't that much different. I'm sure you guys have noticed that while Clash of Clans you can look away for a few seconds, you could be raiding and playing a YouTube video, maybe this video, but Clash Royale, you look away for 1 second, you've already lost the tower. That's kind of how it works. Well, Clash Royale is more like driving. You have to constantly be looking everywhere, and oftentimes I see players, well, I don't literally see them, but what I notice is players tend to focus in on one spot because they're aiming for one tower, or aiming for one particular spot, or just getting distracted in general by one particular, maybe the middle, who knows. But the point is, when they do this, the other player just realizes that they're doing this and decides to spam troops the other way. I can't tell you guys how many trophies and of course overall towers I've gotten simply by waiting for the other player to start focusing on one spot where I've started to spam troops, and then bang, counterattack from the other side, and they're completely oblivious to it. Don't be that guy. Alright, number 4 on our list has to do with elixir as a whole. You see, guys, what happens is a lot of players think, oh, this troop looks really cool, let me just add a giant P.E.K.K.A. to this thing, and let's have a mini P.E.K.K.A. because, these are kind of like the go-to troops, and when a player starts first playing, they want these troops, and as soon as they get them, they want to use them. In reality, those troops aren't even a lot of people who are at the top of their areas and arenas, guess what? They're using really low elixir troops. And so the key here is don't try to spend a lot of elixir on really awesome looking troops. Basically, don't judge a troop by its cover. Instead, try to figure out what will work with your strategy, what will take out what troop, what's the most popular things people use, and do I have the right cards to get rid of those particular troops. So that's just my thought process. I like to keep a really low elixir deck, and that way I constantly have enough elixir to fill up, and this kind of goes back to number 1, of course. At the same time, just don't be the guy who has I don't know, all the insane legendary troops, and then you're like, I'm gonna beat this guy in my sleep. At least that's what I think. Number 5 is one that some of you guys might not really like, but I love it, and personally I think this is a really good way to play the game. It's basically playing defensively rather than offensively, and what happens is if you do this, you let the other person make the mistakes and you destroy them as soon as they make those mistakes. So just as you start, let them place down the first troop. Just let them do it, see what they have, and let them play out all their cards. As soon as you've memorized all the things they have, you're pretty much set. You know exactly how to counter their strategies, you know what strategies they might potentially use, and you know where they can place things and where they cannot place things. And of course the obvious things, are they a troop spammer? Are they someone who's not that great? Are they someone who looks really good? Things along those lines. Let them place down not only the first troop, but the first handful of troops, and then counter and get rid of those. That way you're constantly just looking at their troops and constantly destroying their troops. Then, this is where you attack. As soon as your elixir starts to fill up just a little bit faster, whether there's only a minute remaining or something along those lines, that's when you go all out and you go offensive, okay? So play defensive the whole game, and as soon as you have a good amount of elixir, that's when you should go and play offensively. Number 6 is a tough topic for a lot of you guys if I'm reading my comments from the last Clash Royale video correctly. It seems that a lot of people tend to go on losing streaks, and here's my advice as soon as you go on a losing streak. Here's the rule of thumb. 1 loss, it's okay, keep playing. 2 losses, okay, sweat it off, it's gonna be alright, you can keep it going. But if you lose a 3rd time, 3 strikes, you're out. Stop playing the game, close out of the game, stop getting frustrated, because what's going to happen is you're not going to play your best 4th, 5th, 6th, and you're just going to keep losing and losing and losing. I know the game's fun to play, I know you can play over and over, but if you do that, it's just not going to work. So use the baseball rule of thumb. Baseball rule of thumb tends to go for a lot of games. I don't know if you guys noticed. Those things that a lot of you guys don't want to follow, but you probably should. Switch decks once a week. I kid you not. Don't switch decks because your friend is telling you to. Don't switch decks because you found this cool YouTube deck. Don't switch decks because there's a particular deck that every YouTuber is talking about and every person's tweeting about. No, don't do it. There's a reason that Clash of Clans strategies can be called go wee wee and go wipe and things along those lines. And then Clash Royale, you don't have that. They made it complicated on purpose to prove a point. You should get one good strategy, and that should be your master strategy. Your second deck should be for maybe one big topic that a lot of people sometimes use, like troop spammers. And your last deck should be the deck that you use against friends. The one you use against friends is the only one that you should switch constantly. That way, if you find that magical strategy that just happens to work every time, you can test it out against your friends and see if it's really magical. But the first deck is the one that you're a master at, and that should be called your master deck. So of course, that's just my advice. That's the way that I've been going at it, and if you guys want to go ahead and try that strategy and see if it works for you, which I'm probably certain at this point that it will, go ahead, try it. Third deck, of course, friends. First deck, master. Second deck is currently trending at that particular moment. Sometimes people are using troop spammers, sometimes people are using really low elixir strategies, sometimes people are using high elixir. Whatever is going on at that moment, that's what that particular strategy should be for. Number 8 is kind of random, but you should always have arrows. I don't know if you guys will follow this one, but this is just something that I've been thinking about, and I've seen so many different just attacks in general at this point, and I'm thinking, if only that person had arrows. And I think again, if only that person had arrows. If only that person had arrows. Like, whether it's just taking out that tower last minute, or whether it's defending against something that's coming at your tower last second, things along those lines. And I always think, if only they had arrows. So at this point, I've just decided, no matter what the strategy is, just have arrows. It's not that hard. Unless you are a legend or you have something else that basically is just as good as arrows, maybe like a fireball or something along those lines. Now, number 9 is a special one because it's kind of a strategy that's unique to me, and it's something that you can master, but it's also at the same time not mentioned by anyone else out there. You won't find this on like blog posts. You won't find this on all those videos that say must win, ultimate way to win Clash Royale. You won't find this particular strategy, but it's so important. And as soon as I say it, you guys will be like, yeah, you're right. So here's the thing. So when you place down a troop, right, it distracts other troops in that particular way. And if you could just figure out which way these troops are going to go, right, whether it's a giant and you distract it using a building, whether it's something you place down and it distracts the prince for either a second, or even the hog. You know how the hog sometimes has to move around a horde? Use that to your advantage, and trust me, it will do wonders. It's something that I've been looking at, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's part of the game, but not a lot of people talk about it. And finally, number 10, watch your replays. I know, shocking, right? But actually go through and watch your replays. See what the other person did right. See what their strategy is so good for. See what your strategy is so awesome at. See what you did wrong, where your mistakes were. And trust me, if you just go through, and this is what a lot of people should do rather than what they do, after they lose a bunch of games, what they do is they keep playing and playing and getting even more stressed out and just going on a huge losing streak, right? Here's what I think you should do. Instead of doing that, go through and watch your replays at 4 times the speed, and then slow it down when you see and go, oh, I screwed up. If you watch your replays, you'll be a lot more confident going in the next time. Maybe you'll tweak your deck just a little bit. Maybe you'll go in chat and be like, oh, what did I do wrong on this one? If you just do that, you're pretty much set. And sure, did I treat Clash Royale like a sport in this video? Yeah, but think about it. It kind of is like a sport. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If so, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. This is going to be me logging off.
From the I.O.N.C.L.A.S.H to the clan we play, we the I.O.N.C.L.A.S.H, that 50K, and we still going strong as we make our way, yeah. No one to stop us being the best clan, cause we about to take the top, we making it our plan, let's clash. Burn it up, we so fast, go our town hall back, this channel is where it's at, I.O.N.C.L.A.S.H.